At some point, you might have run into this kind of issue. You run your tests, and while they're working at some point, they're failing now. And you look through the failure message, and you look at the reasons, and you see this Vite manifest not found at public build manifest.json. Well, if we look at that directory, we look at public, and there's no manifest file anywhere in here. Well, that gets generated when we run npm run build or npm run dev. So I'll quickly go through that, and you see it's now generated this build directory with these assets and a manifest.json. The manifest.json is essentially going to say, hey, whenever Laravel is trying to load this resources css app.css, we actually wanted to load this assets/app and then a hash file, which is essentially this file right here. And this is just the way Vite works to deal with browser caching and stuff and help with things there. But if you've never run npm run build in your system, the tests are going to fail. And that can be fine. Maybe your application really, really does depend on these assets being loaded and it will break without them. But when you're running unit tests, that's not always the case. And when you're running your tests in CI, for example, you might not want to go through the hassle of doing all the npm install steps just to be able to run your PHP-sided tests. So there is a little trick we can do. If we come into the test directory, we're going to go into the test.php, but this could also just go in the generic test case in a setup method. We're going to call before each, and we're going to call a function here. But the function we're going to call is going to be withoutVite. And now when we do this, if we go and delete that build directory again, we will... I just accidentally ran the wrong command. I'm going to delete the build directory again and rerun the tests. And hopefully this time we should see the tests are all passing. So with this withoutVite function call here, we've basically told the framework, hey, you don't need to actually load any of the Vite assets. If the manifest doesn't exist, that's absolutely fine. But of course, if the manifest does exist, it will also run exactly the same as well. So by doing this, you're just making your application not care whether the front-end assets are available or not when you're running your server-side tests.